Is this really what we want? Oh my goodness. So when it comes to stories like this, there are usually two trains of thought. There is one side where it's like, hey, if you're committing a crime, I don't care what happens to you in the course of this crime. It doesn't matter. It's justified. Then there's the other side where it's more of, hey, you shouldn't be committing a crime. However, I think there could be more amicable ways in which it can be handled that doesn't result in a loss of life. And that's usually the two sides to many of these stories like this, whether it becomes a police brutality issue or whether it's a story like this involving a security guard. And for those of you who haven't heard the story, the gist of the story is that there was a shoplifter. It was a female shoplifter. They tried to escape. The security guard stopped them. Eventually, it becomes a tussle. And the security guard's punching. They're in a tussle. And eventually, the security guard gets up and allows the person to leave, according to the security guard's statement. What eventually happens after this is that the security guard shoots the shoplifter. After looking at the surveillance footage, me personally, I'm very much in the latter group. And that is, there are better ways to handle this situation than to take someone's life from shoplifting. I'm not condoning shoplifting. I'm not condoning, the criminality. I'm not doing that. However, I am saying the whole point of our judicial system is to judge someone. You don't get to be judge, jury, and executioner. That's one of the issues that I have in many cases when it comes to many of these police officer-involved shootings. The whole point is that you take them to court to prove their innocence, whether or not they're guilty or innocent. They're innocent until proven guilty, no matter what. I just find it interesting how many of the pro-life people are usually the ones that are OTL. And OTL is a term that I've coined. It's obey the law. And it's those people where it's like, hey, if you're going 36 and the speed limit is 35 and you get a ticket and you go to prison or something like that, they're like, well, that's what happens. You should obey the law, right? Where it's very much black and white for them. I don't agree with that because, as I've gotten older, I realize that's not the case. And in many cases, we're all criminals. That if the government wants to arrest you, they can find a way to arrest you because there's so many, frivolous laws out there and we don't know all of the laws and they're creating laws, new laws every day. And they use that, in my opinion, to keep us in order to the point where if you get out of line too far, well, guess what? They can write you off for this. They can write you off for this. They can prosecute you for this, and this, and this, and this. But however, I think there are a lot of people who don't believe that. They think that I'm not a criminal. And it's like, you very much are. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it was going over is like how the average person commits 3 felonies a day or something like that. In this story, based off of the security guard's testimony, because I watched it, and he lied. I'm sorry, I can't help it, but he lied, and I don't like liars. He talks about how he didn't shoot until the person lunged.
She walked towards the door, but then she turned around and advanced back towards me. Then that's when I already had my weapon drawn. And when she moved towards me, that's when I fired one shot.
The problem with him saying that is that we have video evidence of this. That this individual, this woman, was on her way out. She was backpedaling out the door. And it was when she was backpedaling out the door, that's when he fired his weapon. Now, to me, it seems to be an open and shut case to me of a case of manslaughter. That's what it seems like to me, because I don't believe that lethal force was justified in this scenario of a person who was not armed, of a person at the time of being shot was not being violent and was fleeing. I don't know how you can say, well, yeah, it's justified. That deserves to happen. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, I listened to the DA Jenkins. What she essentially said was, I feared for my life. That's the general argument that she presented forward. You can read through it. She's put out as far as, hey, it's not about what you see in the video. It's the totality of circumstances, whether or not the security guard felt in fear for his life that justify him to take such action. And she argues that, there was already violence, that this person had already shown a proclivity to violence. In addition to that, making threats about, hey, I'm going to stab you, which now has in the security guard's head where now this person could potentially have a knife and they could lunge at me and, and shank me or whatnot. So it heightens the situation. Here's the thing. I hear, don't get me wrong, I hear all that. I think all that's 100% valid. 100% valid. Because if someone's threatened me, hey, I'm gonna stab you, why would they say that unless they had a knife? Now, of course, you could say, well, they were just BSing you. They were just talking trash. Yeah, but this is my life we're dealing with. So I'm not gonna just, bluff on my life. Like, you know what, they're probably just BSing, and now I'm stabbed, I'm in the hospital, or worse, I perish. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm gonna do. So I get that. However, the issue I have is that during his time of taking the shot, there was no threat. There was no imminent threat to his life. Upon her leaving, does she pump fake at him? 100%. Now, if he had fired upon her pump faking, I'm like, yo, it is what it is. You pump faked, and guess what? He called you fake. he called you bluff, boo. I don't know what to tell you. But she pump fakes and then continues to flee. I don't know what to tell you. He shoots her as she's fleeing outside of the store. I'm honestly speechless. I'm speechless because in many cases, I can understand how someone can view it a different way. In this case, I can't empathize with anyone who sees this as justified, who sees that the DA, I would argue the DA made a gross miscalculation on this. And in many cases, just because something is legal doesn't make it right and doesn't mean that it should be. I've gone over this with many police officer involved shootings where people want to say it's legal. Yeah, that doesn't make it right, nor does it make it necessary. There was nothing needed to take this woman's life. Nothing. I'm not justifying the shoplifting, but I'm also not justifying the senseless removal of life. It's heartbreaking to see how people have grown so divided. Because I think there are a lot of people out there that feel that, hey, it's lawlessness, that, oh, the Democrats want lawlessness. So when you have hyperbolic, sensitive events that take place like this, they view it as justified. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think, whether or not, you believe that this, in fact, was justified. That, hey, you know what? This person shouldn't have shoplifted, and this is the price they pay for shoplifting. It is what it is. Or if you have to believe, you know what? I get that. I understand shoplifting is bad. However, I don't believe that someone should lose their life simply due to shoplifting. I think that, hey, they should be brought to court, charged and sentenced. That's how it's allegedly supposed to happen. I don't think there was anything in this situation that would justify lethal force, especially not at the time that it was being used. Despite the allegations of a knife, which was never found, despite this woman being violent, I get all that. I don't believe that at the time he fired his weapon, she posed any imminent threat to his life. I understand he said, I fear for my life, but I don't think this is the world we want to live in, right? I don't want to live in this world. This is not what I want. Maybe there are people who want this. So it is what it is. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree with this take, you're more than welcome to call in during Disagreement Day, which is typically held Friday through Sunday. There will be a number on screen. You call in, we duke it out. Either or, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing. That doesn't make sense to me.